Hey everyone, this is Holly at the Crafty Attic, and I hope you've had a chance to watch the first video I did where I talked about the supplies that you'll need to make the crushed tin can. Today, I guess we'll go ahead and learn how to put the napkin on the can. We're going to be using this patriotic napkin. So I'll go get everything set up and I'll be right back and we'll get started. Okay, I think I have everything gathered that we'll need. So, as you know, there's 4 sections to a napkin. And I'm going to go ahead and separate this one. And these are 3-ply napkins, and I've already started the peeling process. So as you can see here, there's 2 plies that we're taking off. Once you get down to the top ply, they're very thin. You can almost see through them. Actually, you can see through them, which is what we want. Okay, next we're going to tear the edges. That's where the water pin comes in. And this just helps blend in the napkin with the paint, gives it kind of a rustic edge. And because the can I'm using is pretty small, I believe it's a soup can, we might lose some of the writing, but it will be okay. We have every state on this napkin. I hate to cut any of them off, but we'll have to lose a little bit. So you just squeeze the pen and just go on the edge. And then we're going to go back and tear just enough to give it the ragged edge here. A ragged flag. There went Alaska. Dang it. Okay. I am from the great state of Wyoming. I started making these cans this winter. As you know, Wyoming we're known for our horrible winters. They seem like they last forever. And we have to create our own fun. So that's kind of why I took up crafting. And I believe we're going to have to lose the whole bottom section of this. Let's go ahead and... This pen is not wanting to cooperate. It's just water in there. Once you know, it works like a dream until I go to do a video and I can't get it to work. Okay, and one more side. We're having a very windy day here today. You can probably hear the wind in the background. We're supposed to have like 70-mile-per-hour gusts. So it's a good day to be inside, I guess. Okay, so we've pretty much got this ready to put on. Here's my can, and for whatever reason, this can buckled a little bit on the bottom when I put it in the vise to smash it, but I think it will be fine. Hopefully you won't be able to see it once we get the napkin on. So I'm going to get the napkin somewhat where I want it. I kind of like to wrap it over the top a little if you can. It's not a big deal. And the Mod Podge. So I don't like to work out of the big bottle of Mod Podge, as it tends to dry out if you keep the lid off too long. So I pour just a little into a mason canning jar. Doesn't have to be mason, just a canning jar. And I do add a little water to it. It just seems to go on better. Not very much, just a few drops. And here's the foam brush that I talked about. I've used this one earlier today, so it's already got Mod Podge on it. But if you keep them in a Ziploc baggie, then you can reuse a few times and not have to throw it away so quick. I like to save money where I can. Okay, I'm going to start in the center. Just a little Mod Podge on my brush. And you're going to want to get it down into the grooves as much as you can. Make it even on the can so you don't have big areas in one spot and none in the next. Okay, now these are very delicate once you take the plies apart, so I like to tap to get started. Kind of helps the napkin soak down into the can, into all the grooves. Yeah, I don't think those ridges along the bottom are going to be a problem at all with this napkin. They tend to mesh with the stripes. Okay, and then pull it back a little again, a little more Mod Podge on your brush. Try not to get the dried chunks in there, that's not fun to work with. And just bounce the brush, keep it moving. And that should take us right to the edge. It's out of the way. I know a lot of people have mentioned they fight wrinkles in the napkins, and when I first did these, the first couple were horrible. In fact, I ended up throwing them away. But as you go, it will get easier. You'll learn how to hold the napkin, you know, and not tear. So along the edge, I'm just going to go on top, just to catch the edges before they dry. Maybe up here a little as well. And then we'll continue on to this side that hasn't been glued down yet. And a little more Mod Podge on the brush. As you go, you learn lots of little tips and tricks, and hopefully I can pass them along to you. I'm within the camera. It always helps if someone else can discover the hints before you tackle it, and then you don't have to make so many mistakes, right? Okay. And once again, I'm going to just tap my finger. You see a few wrinkles started, but we can take care of those. And you know, the way I see it, a few wrinkles is not a bad thing, depending on what kind of project you're working on, I guess, but this has somewhat of a rustic look to it anyway, so wrinkles probably wouldn't matter. And we have just a little bit left here. Maybe I have enough left on my brush to do this section. And I have been putting the same napkin on the front and the back. I don't know why, but I just felt it looked more finished that way. I use these as shelf sitters, so I haven't attached hangers at all, but you can if you want to. I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down. We can cover it up when we do the other side. Okay, so that part is pretty much down, and believe it or not, I'm going to put another coat on top of the napkin. Everybody freaks out when they see this part. But no, you can't do that, it's going to destroy it, but honestly, it doesn't. And this helps a lot with the wrinkles. The next step, we'll use the saran wrap that I talked about. And that really helps out as well. Just make sure you get full coverage here. A bit more for this side. And I have some super cute 4th of July doodads I'm going to put in the top. Rusty stars and red, white, and blue beads. Actually, they're not beads, they're more of a floral type stuff. And I think I pretty well got it covered. There's so much room for error with these, and they're very forgiving. Okay, I believe I've got everybody covered here. And I've already got, always have your saran wrap pre-cut. That way you're not having to hustle to get it ready, hoping the Mod Podge isn't going to dry before you get back to it. Okay, just press it down. Don't rub, just press or you'll tear the napkin. Pull this down, that helps too. And you can press. Oh, this is going to be so cute. Maybe you'll put a little jute around the top, jute rope, for a little extra decoration. And believe it or not, the saran wrap just peels right off. And if you've had any areas, I did have a couple that lifted, you can lay those right back down. Fairly easy. And the next thing I learned what to do with it, you can take a damp paper towel, wring most of the water out, you don't want it too wet, and go over the top. If you've got any bubbles, you can press them down with this and they just stick right down. It's hard to see on this if there are bubbles, but sometimes when you put that top coat of Mod Podge, if you get too much, it has a tendency to bubble, but you can work them out. It's not a complete loss. See how this went up over the ridge? It just gives it a much more finished look, I think. Even though we lost our A states up there, well, we still have Arkansas. How cute is that? Okay, we're good. And if you have any leftovers down here, once it's dry, we can file them off with just a regular fingernail file. And I think this one I'm going to also do the back, but I'll wait till this dries to do that. Okay, so we're going to let this sit and dry, and I'll be back with the next step. Okay, and I'm back. I shot this with the blow dryer to help it dry, so I could get onto the other side. And well, you can see here, but there are what wrinkles are there, I think, just give it that distressed look. And as you can see down here where the grooves in the can were, you really can't even tell. Just gives it a little more character, I think. Okay, so on this side, some of this didn't want to stick. I think we can just cover that up. If you'll notice here, there was some glue that I just couldn't get off the can. I did my best, painted over top, and you won't see it once we get the napkin on. Now what I want to talk to you about these napkins for a minute. So most of the napkins I have purchased are 3-ply, but sometimes it's hard to tell whether they are or not. And to get the ply started, if you wet your finger, whether water, spit, whatever you want to use, that helps. I've already wet this one and the plies just came right apart, so that was not a problem. And if you're wondering, this particular napkin I bought this one off of Etsy, I think. I bought several just because I have a little Etsy shop myself, and so I like to list several of them at a time. I do them all at once and get them listed, and hopefully I'll get them on there before the 4th of July holiday comes around. Okay, so I thought you might want to watch this one more time for this side. If not, you can just fast forward. I always put the lid on my Mod Podge in between steps because it helps to prevent the glue from drying. So I'm trying to work with once it's dry. I'm a little concerned about this spot, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick it down, and we'll just cover it up with the other part of the napkin. Okay, while that dries, I'll do the edge on this one again. So I'm sure that all of you have quite an assortment of napkins. Who would have ever thought, right? I've got 2 full tubs, and I go through them and think, what am I going to do today? You'd think I could be able to pick one with all that I have, but sometimes it's hard to choose. Depends on the season, I guess, and your mood. It's hard with Etsy, sales on Etsy, because you have to work several months in advance. I suppose that's with any kind of craft items, to get your seasonal things out there before it's too late. So soon I'll be working on fall probably. Oh, it's really hard to do in summertime. We wait so long for summer to get here, and then I have to spend the summer looking at winter projects, but oh well. It's part of being a crafter, I guess. My Etsy shop, by the way, if you want to check it out, my Etsy name is The Crafty Attic. So if you just search in there under The Crafty Attic, you should be able to pull me up. And I really like to do recycled projects. That's kind of where I lean, just because I like to help out our environment, and it's fun to rescue things. And it's very popular. People are leaning more toward that with the way our world is these days. I love to do recycled alcohol bottles. In fact, I'll probably do a couple tutorials on that as well. They are so fun. I'm not a real big drinker, but I have a couple of local bars that save bottles, and I have friends that save bottles for me. And as I said, I'm in Wyoming, so I don't get to do a lot in the wintertime as far as painting those bottles. So that also has to be done in the summer. It's usually pretty busy around here. Okay, we're ready to place this on. And our napkins are pretty much going to meet on the edge. And what doesn't will kind of just blend in with the can, I think, and it's not going to be a problem. So here we go with this process again. Gee, I hope we don't lose our electricity. The way this wind is, could happen. Spring is having a hard time making its way to Wyoming. And I'll tell you what, I am so ready. I think this is going to be a popular item here. I had the local senior citizen center save me a bunch of cans, and they actually use the big, like you can get like the school cafeteria, that type of thing. I picked them up today, and they're huge. I'm kind of excited to work on those, but I don't know if I want to crush those. We'll see what happens. I'll let you all know what I come up with. I think I just might want to do some table arrangements, not crush the can, and put napkins and flowers and whatnot. And we'll see what happens. Especially when my husband comes home and sees the garage is full of more cans. This might not be good. Oh well. Life goes on. You have to take what you can get, right? And I can only keep so many cans myself, or use so many cans. Most of mine are just the small vegetable cans, which are nice because they're these cute little pockets. The first bunch I did, I gave away to friends, and those friends like to advertise for me. I've gotten several orders just from that, so this is good. As you probably know how popular sunflowers are right now with what's going on in Ukraine, and for some reason they have been hopping in my shop. And I do have a lot of sunflower napkins, so that's a good thing. I won't have to buy more. And once again, we're going to go over the top. I see a few wrinkles popping up here, but the saran wrap should take care of that. I just really have never looked at a napkin as art before. And now every time I get one in my hands at a restaurant, I'm tearing them apart and checking out the plies. Of course, you don't get the real pretty ones when you go out to eat. Most of these seem to come from like other countries. Very interesting. For me, I'd rather buy just a few, you know, of one design. I don't want really the whole pack because you can only do so many. So it's actually cheaper for me to buy the singles. Okay, so that's saran wrap I had. I wadded up. I'm going to go ahead and reuse it. Won't hurt a thing as long as it's not dry and it's still wet. So smush the wrinkles out. Pretty awesome if you could do this with your skin, right? Save a lot of money on wrinkle cream. Okay, I've got more wrinkles on this side for whatever reasons. So I'm going to work them out with this paper towel. This thing is your best friend right here. Took me a long time to figure out what I could use, but this is what I do. I'm sure there's some type of an iron-on method. I don't know what that is. I haven't tried it, but as long as this works for me, this is what I'm gonna do. Be careful not to touch your finger on the wet side when you're holding, because it will pull that napkin right off. It's funny, inside of the can feels cold, and it feels that way until the Mod Podge is completely dry. That's how you know. It's like it's been in the fridge. Now, how cool is that? The stripes on the flag, along with the grooves underneath, it actually has a wave effect. Pretty neat. And here's our side. See how well that blended? Side as well. Okay, so we're going to let that dry all the way. And I'll be back. Okay, I am back. And both sides are done. I just can't believe how cute this turned out. Okay, so now I talked about the Clear matte varnish to seal everything up. This just gives it a final coat. I squeeze it out onto a paper plate. There's no smell to this, which is great. You can also use the spray varnishes, but they do have a strong smell. And once again, I can't spray inside, so this is what I choose to do, and I like it. I got this off of Amazon. Definitely want the matte, unless I guess you want it to have a glossy coat. They probably do make a gloss. I've never purchased it, but I'm sure they do. Next time I'm going to buy bigger bottles. I was just testing this. I think this is the second small one I've gone through, so it does last a while. Once you put this on, it gives it a whole new feel to it too. It doesn't feel rough. It feels smooth. You can't even tell that it's a napkin. Actually, it looks hand-painted to me. It's pretty amazing, and it dries super fast. Put over and do this side, and you can use the blow dryer on this part too if you're in a hurry to get it dried. I'm usually working on several things at one time, so I have time to let one dry while I'm working on another. But for the tutorial, the blow dryer came in pretty handy. Okay, so it looks like we've got pretty good coverage here. And that part is done. So now, yeah, I don't know if I will. Sometimes less is more, but you could tie a jute type string around the top, put a little knot in it. That would be cute. But this one is ready for the filler. So I will pick up on the next video how I add filler to these. Okay, thanks for watching, and be sure and hit the like button and subscribe so you'll be notified next time I do a video. Thank you.